My name is Kedar Ahmed, and I'm a community reporter with RPTV News. And today, I'm here with Diane Kolin, musicologist, singer, senior project manager, PMP, PhD candidate in musicology, as well as a music teacher. Diane's doctoral research project is on music and disability in the professional music industry. You've been conducting a series of workshops, Community Music Schools of Toronto, funded and supported by York University's Helen Carsweel. Diane, can you please tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yes, thank you for having me first. And so you said a lot of things about me already. I'm French. I came from France in Canada 9 years ago. And I've been doing research on a lot of different things, but Ludwig van Beethoven was my initial research in kind of an academic world. And this led me to the path of music and disability because he had a deafness. So little by little, I transformed my research. And when I arrived here, I was interested in people with disabilities in the professional music industry. And then it led me to music education.
Diane, tell us about your experiences as an immigrant and a musician born in France to relocate your career in Toronto.
So France is a country with a lot of problems related to accessibility and disability in general. So my issues in France were mostly about accessibility and in transit systems, in regular life, with laws, things like that. And when I arrived here, suddenly I had a set of laws called the AODA, which is one of the disability acts here that allows us to have accessibility in the streets, accessibility in public transit. So when you have a good level of accessibility in a city, then you are able to start working. And that's exactly what I did.
I agree. Can you tell us a little bit more about your connection to Regent Park?
Yes, so a few years ago I was at York University as I'm a PhD candidate there, so I'm studying. And a friend of mine applied for Helen Carsweel, this community research engagement in the arts. And she got an agreement with Community Music Schools of Toronto. They are partnering with York University to lead an experience about Chinese music. And she asked me if I would be willing to conduct the children and to lead the children and to teach them a song. And it was a song in Cantonese. And it went very, very well. It was 2 years ago. And then last year, over the summer, the director of the school contacted me and said, we need a voice teacher in our school. Would you be interested? Because you did a good job with the children. And I said yes. So I became a voice teacher and an early childhood music teacher at CMST. And it was great already. But what was even better is that the same Helen Carsweel community research in the arts funded a series of workshops that I proposed about accessibility in music, and that I did in CMST.
I think that's awesome that you're teaching accessibility through music. Why is your work and your teachings important to the Regent Park community?
It's important because the children who come here, they live a lot of different experiences. Sometimes they immigrate, they don't know the language. The parents work hard and struggle sometimes to get in whatever they want in their community. But here in this music school, there is something magical happening because we are teaching these children. It doesn't matter if they don't speak the language. Music allows them to communicate. And these workshops go to the next level, which is something that they never experienced before, which is adaptive instruments. For example, how to use new technology to play an instrument where you would imagine someone who has no mobility at all could use an iPad or another device to play music? Or also, what is American Sign Language? Do you know we can sing with American Sign Language? Do you know we can read a score with Braille music when you're blind? Do you know you can feel the vibration when you are deaf? Do you know you can play an instrument even if you have no arms? You have other ways to do it. So we've explored all that with the children, and they loved it. And I loved it, and the school loved it. So it's really important. The output we all get from that is we learn something new, we learn together, and something different was taught. And at home, I'm pretty sure they're at home talking to their parents and saying, do you know I'm singing in sign language? And like the parents must ask things too, right? So it's I love that. I love that little by little we are transforming this community with something awesome that we all have fun together with.
Even though it's different, I think it's great. You just educated me. I didn't know that you could play music in many different ways, shapes, or forms.
Yeah.
Can you share some of the testimonies of musicians with disabilities in the downtown East?
Yes. So, for example, some of the musicians say that when they were children, they didn't have any role model. So they grew up with their disability, but when they were trying to do music, for example, nobody was doing music like they were doing, or like even giving advice. Where do I go if I have a disability and I want to play an instrument, or if I want to sing, or if I want to even learn a little bit how to do that? Where do I go? And a lot struggle. And so it started with these kind of conversations with professional musicians with disabilities. It would be awesome to have these kind of experiences explained directly in music schools or in school. When you are now, we have more and more possibilities of including children with disabilities in public schools because of the laws I was mentioning before. So now why don't we do that directly at the school so that every child with or without disability is included in that musical experience?
Since we touched on that a little bit, what's the reality and the challenges that musicians with disabilities face in Toronto?
So it's more a global thing. It's not necessarily in Toronto, but there are many, many things, right? Financial barriers. Access is the most important barrier. And by access, I really mean accessibility. Because most of in public buildings, not all of the buildings are accessible. Not all of them have a button, but that's accessibility to wheelchairs. If you consider blind people, for example, they are very, very good. They have good ear, right? They are very good musicians. But if you look around, there is no guide on the ground to help with the white cane. The guide itself, when they navigate with the white cane and do this movement with their wrist, it's to know that there's going to be a wall soon or it's going to turn soon. Most of the buildings don't have that. Or hearing loops in venues, or most of the venues are accessible to the audience, but not to the performer. So they will be very happy because it fulfills the law, right? I'm accessible. I have a disabled spot, I have a disabled washroom. But the performer with disability cannot access the stage.
Diane, what do you think about the accessibility in Regent Park?
Well, it has improved a lot. I love this neighborhood. Here we are at Daniel Spectrum, and this building just around here, just across, you have an awesome park where there are ramps everywhere. It's very easy to cross. There are some flattened part on the corners so that we can cross with a wheelchair. There are also indicators for blind people everywhere. The sidewalks are larger, so this area has improved so much and is so nice to just have a walk or just have a lunch in the park, right? I really love this area.
Who would you say has inspired you the most in your life?
Well, this is a difficult question because it changes sometimes. But right now, I would say that the people who created RPTV, which is recording artists and music professionals with disabilities, RAMPT. Their names are Lachi and Gerlin Lee, two very influential North American singers. And so they are both singers, but Gerlin Lee is also a violin player. And they both worked a lot on the questions of accessibility and disability in our society, how to change this, how to make places accessible, how to be vocal about the place of the artists in the community at large. And I really got inspired by everything they did, and I joined RAMPT as a pro member not long ago. It's been 1 year now, but it's relatively recent. And they are also very involved in the Recording Academy, the Grammy Awards. And so they influenced me enough so that I was able to apply as a professional member. And I'm now a professional member of the Recording Academy too. So all their actions led me to consider what would be my next level.
That's amazing. I think everything that you're doing is cool. And on top of that, you educated me a lot about accessibility. Even though I asked you a couple of questions, is there anything else that you would want the audience to know? Anything that I've missed?
Yeah, I think I'm going to talk a little bit about the program at Community Music Schools of Toronto. So this program here at Daniel Spectrum, in fact, we share the same building. It's really an awesome program. It helps people who have, whatever their financial situation, social situation is, they can get to the school. And they now have a program for children with disabilities. So we try to adapt whatever will happen. We try to get the best experience for the children. So if the children are, I don't know, autistic or mobility impaired or whatever, we can find a solution. And I find that very, very important because there are not a lot of music schools where it's openly written on their website, we have a program for children with disabilities, come. And I'm not saying they are unique, but they are kind of unique in the experience and everything that they give to the children. And so I would say to anyone in the neighborhood, try it. And there are a lot of different programs. So if you go to the Community Music Schools of Toronto website, there are lots of information on how to apply, summer camps, other opportunities, even older children, teenagers, and it takes people until 18, I think. There are lots of different programs for the older children too, like the ones we cannot call children anymore.
Diane, thank you so much for coming, taking the time to speak with us, educating us, and let us know about all the wonderful things that are going on out there. And I'm Kedar Ahmed. I'm with RPTV News. Don't forget to like, subscribe to our YouTube channel. See you next time.
Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel, and check out all of our social media platforms. For more information, check out our website.